In this video, I'm going to give you a demonstration and a sample answer on how to plan the IELTS speaking task part 2. This card is just here, and as you can see, it says describe a teacher you admire, and it's given me 4 things that I should talk about. As you know, you get 1 minute planning time, then I'll give you the demonstration, and then afterwards I'll break down if it is a good part 2 or not. This is not rehearsed. I'm just going to speak as if I've been given the card. I'm going to make my notes now. Okay, so here's my cards, and as you can see, it says describe a teacher you admire. And then there's bullet points to help me that I'm going to use as a backup, because I don't really think you should be using the bullet points unless you need to at the end. But it says you should say who it is, where they taught you, why you admire them, and how they influenced your life. Okay, so let's make some notes. 1 minute, please. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Mr. Hogan, my physics teacher. I'm going to talk about how he used to be a smoker and how I used to be able to smell the smoke in his room. I want to tell a story, because I should always be telling a story in IELTS Part 2. And I'm going to talk about how he taught us about parallel universes. I might talk about, this is before the internet, so he must be a clever man. And I'm going to talk about how he let us play with Bunsen burners, which is like the fire thing as a kid, which was amazing. So I want to talk about that as well. And my opening line is going to be, I'm going to tell you about my physics teacher, Mr. Hogan. Okay, let's go. Let's see how I do. I'm going to talk about my physics teacher, Mr. Hogan. The reason I admire him is that he made lessons very fun and he wasn't very exam orientated. I mean, he would go through the textbook with us, but it was very easy to excite. So we used to love the Bunsen burners, like in the 90s, to play with fire as a kid. It was a lot of fun. Any excuse to play with fire, he would let us, obviously in a safe environment. But the main reason that I admire this teacher is because he just knew a lot about his topic in physics. And while a lot of my science teachers in the past and after Mr. Hogan would be very, stick to the textbook, we have to do this in this lesson, he would be very easily distracted by theoretical physics. So I remember one lesson, I think I was maybe 15, we started asking him about parallel universes. Maybe we saw it on Star Trek or something. And for the whole lesson, we were just asking questions about how parallel universes happened or what infinite universes were. And he would give us, not exactly the science, but he would give us these sort of theories of what could be happening. Like I remember once he said, in one universe, you, Adam, would be a prince. Or in one universe, you're married to Pamela Anderson. And I remember that seed put in my head about all these different universes that could exist. And at the time, obviously, it was very theoretical. But even now, as an adult, I'm very interested in physics, especially theoretical physics. Whenever I hear parallel universes, I remember that lesson when the whole class were just sat rapt listening to our physics teacher tell us about these possible worlds that there could be. He was a smoker. He always smelled of cigarettes. So even when I smell someone that has been smoking as an adult, it takes me back to sitting in that physics class talking about physics. And there was no internet at the time, so it wasn't like he was Googling the lessons like I do for these videos and in my classes. He obviously was a very intelligent man. Okay, so watching that back, I saw some things I did really well and some things that could maybe be improved on. What did you think? Let me know in the comments. Did you think it was band 7, band 8, band 9, band 1? What was the good? The main thing that I did in that would impress an examiner is I told stories. Stories are a great way to tackle the IELTS speaking part 2, because it puts it automatically in the past, and then you can talk about the present. You can say things like, I remember when, and that puts you in the past. And then as you saw in the video, I said, and even now I can still, so I brought it into the present at the end of the story. That was something that I think I did well, and that's something that you should aim to do in your IELTS speaking task part 2. Tell stories. The other thing is I was smiling all the way through, which helped my pronunciation. Imagine if I was talking like this, and I want to tell you about my favorite teacher, Mr. Hogan. He was a physics teacher. Just by smiling, it gives you more fluency, it gives you better pronunciation, and it's more engaging. The examiner will be more interested in the story. I had a good opening, I had a good plan. I started straight away because I spent my planning time thinking of good stories to tell, and that really showed in the final piece. Okay, so what could be improved? I said physics a lot. I could have paraphrased it into different things like science, or I could have gone into more, I don't know. I am a native English speaker and I naturally said physics a lot. So it really doesn't matter too much. Try not to worry about repeating words in the IELTS speaking test, especially in part 2. I had a few brain farts, which are fillers like and some long pauses. But again, it was natural. I mean, if you get asked to speak for 2 minutes on something and you only have a minute of planning, even band 9, you're going to have some, Don't worry about it. Don't let it put you off. Just go with it. Don't start worrying in your head about, oh, I said, then it doesn't matter. Forget about it. Use as many as you want. The thing you might lose marks on is if you go all the way through and you're using it as you're struggling to find the words, then you might get a bit of a knock on your fluency, but don't worry about it too much. The final thing that I didn't really do well was at the end of the 2 minutes, I didn't really wrap it up. If I knew I had 10 seconds left, I would have said something like, so yeah, that is a teacher that I admire. Just to wrap it up nicely, but I didn't do that. I ran out of time before I could say that. If you could see the timer and you see you have 10 seconds left, maybe you just wrap up the answer by saying, so that's why I admire this person. If you don't worry, the examiner will just stop you. You don't get any real marks for structure on part 2. Thanks for watching to the end. Check out this video that gives you 25 tips on how to pass the IELTS speaking task part 2. And let me know in the comments. Tell me your favourite teacher or a teacher you admired. Good luck and smash those exams.